from consumer lending to small business lending to one of the leaders in small business lending. Our next keynote speaker has done more probably than just about anybody else to innovate when it comes to small business lending, helping expand access to credit for small business owners that simply wouldn't have been able to get before. And they've done things that would have been considered impossible just a few short years ago. That is providing a small business owner credit in a matter of minutes. That would have been just ludicrous if you told someone that you could do that 10 years ago. And he also is someone that doesn't take himself too seriously. If you go to his LinkedIn page, he doesn't call himself CEO, he calls himself a cabbage head. So please join me in welcoming the co-founder and cabbage head of Kabbage, Rob Frohwein.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here. First of all, I want to send out my thanks to Renault for agreeing to be my opening act today. No, just kidding, obviously. Look, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about how to take a good online lending company and make it a great fintech and beyond. The things that have gotten us here to date are not necessarily the things that will get us here as we move forward. Wow, this is already moving forward. So, there we go. They're moving me forward. All right, so I want to start, though, with a sad story. Sometimes you luck into a relationship that you think is going to last forever. However, that relationship with that other party is your reality. It's not their reality. And this is something that just happened to me, and I wanted to share it with you. 22 years. All right, how many of you 22 years ago were still in diapers? Probably a whole bunch of you, because most of you guys are in your mid-20s. Well, what happened to me was 22 years ago, I started a relationship with a great person, and that relationship was one that I had every single month. I met her every single month. And in fact, it was a very important relationship to me. But all of a sudden, it vanished overnight, and it vanished into text. And so I'm going to read this text to you. So things have changed here, and unfortunately, the 30th will be my last day. Could you come Friday the 30th? That was unbelievable. She broke up with me in a text. This is the woman that actually cut my hair for the last 22 years. This is the same person that when I moved to Atlanta 22 years ago started cutting my hair. Our kids, our oldest child is only 6 months apart. And she actually gave my son his very first haircut. We're even Facebook friends. So let's face it, she's just not that into me. And so why all this talk about relationships? They're incredibly important, and that's why I'm here today. If we think about the very nature of relationships, they are very, very, very difficult to grow with your customers. About 6 months ago, I was asked to speak on a panel, and it wasn't this conference. And so I got on the phone with the conference organizer, and he said to me, hey, we'd like to do a panel on fintech and bank partnerships. Total yawn. 2015 called, they want their panel topic back. I mean, after all, there are probably more panels on fintech and bank partnerships than there are actual conversations going on between fintechs and banks. 2018 is all about relationships. So why are relationships so important? We're going to get into the meat of it, but first, the reason they're so important is because monoline online lending companies, if the only thing you're doing is lending money online, it's going to go the way of the dinosaur. It's very important. It doesn't mean that the companies are going to blow up. It doesn't mean that there's going to be any challenges, trying to grow that business, but they're not going to be the kind of exciting companies that we saw just a few years ago. We've seen the trouble in the public markets with a couple of different companies out there, and we have to make sure that that challenge doesn't become the norm, that really is what's atypical in the relationship. So, most importantly, the next phase of fintech, in my opinion, are fintechs wanting a bigger slice of the pie. That's really, really, really important. The big question is, can they? The only way to build substantial enterprise value is to be in a position to expand your brand's offerings. In response to this, I've heard lots of people say, I have 2 million customers, so I can sell them an auto loan. Actually, you can't. That's not the way it works. That's not the way you build a company. You can certainly try, but the question becomes, do you have implicit permission from the customer to make this kind of an offer? You do if you're in a relationship with that customer. So relationships are hard. There's unbelievable distractions and complications and competition in relationships. But what suggests implicit permission? And again, thinking about this, implicit permission so if you want to be in a relationship with your customer, you have to have implicit permission to offer them another product or service. That means that the customer is genuinely curious, excited, and open to trying your new product or service based on the experience that they had with other products and services that you offered. That's critical. So the question is, if you're able to get that implicit permission from your customers, then you're in a position to have an unfair and substantial advantage over competition for those new products and services that you're offering. So some companies have done it. So some of these are very obvious to you guys. Amazon. There's a great tweet that Aaron Levy, who's the CEO of Box, shared when Amazon announced its new healthcare initiative. Amazon has announced a new initiative to disrupt healthcare. On the one hand, we already give them enough money and data. On the other hand, how soon can I schedule an appointment? I mean, we all feel that way about Amazon. It's one of those companies that you actually look forward to the next product or service they're going to offer. Others appear on their way. So Tesla, in one instance, Elon Musk changed the entire direction of Tesla. He said, we're not a car company, we're an energy company. And in that moment, he redefined that company. And many of you probably know that resulted in a deal with Australia that created the largest battery, and he delivered that within the right amount of time, within 90 days, way under budget. Incredible. Still others are just starting. So Airbnb, this is something they announced just the other week, actually in late February. They want to turn every day of your life into a vacation. Most people, unless you're using Airbnb for business, only use Airbnb once or twice a year. They don't want to just be a home sharing platform, that says. It wants to be an app that you use every day. So the big question and the big bet that Airbnb is making is, can they take something that only happens once or twice a year and turn it into an everyday experience? And if they do, there's untold value created. I just got this email last week. Who's Erica? That is Bank of America's new voice digital assistant. Very, very cute. The last 5 letters of America are Erica. And they probably paid a branding company $1 million for that advice. And somebody just like put a piece of paper over the word America and goes, oh, it's Erica. You know, I was trying to play around with that with Kabbage, and I thought, well, if we had a digital assistant, would it be like Baggy, like for Kabbage? Like, how could I actually do that and not have to spend $1 million with a branding company? And the tombstones of products that companies have tried are numerous. All right, who here has tried Cheetos lip balm? Anybody? I mean, it is a delicious treat. I mean, you like lick that off your fingers. Do you want to actually leave it on your lips for hours? That's the big question, the bet they made, and they were wrong. And then there's a few other products that are out there. And then, of course, there's our entrance into the energy drink category with Kabbage. The Kabbage energy drink, it's just a joke. We don't actually offer that, although it looks quite refreshing. So I'm thinking maybe we should be doing something along those lines. Actually, this was our April Fool's joke, which I thought nobody saw because we got like no likes on it. But then a lot of people were like, hey, you got in the energy drink market. I'm like, God, you've been like watching too many people on this stage telling you boring things. Actually, we were introducing the fact that we actually just bought CabbageWithAC.com, so we're very excited about that. That was really exciting. The reason we chose CabbageWithAK.com was at the time we were buying it, it was only $1,200, and CabbageWithAC.com was $75,000. So here we are. We finally own what we thought we'd call it in the beginning. All right. So here's the key. Let's get into the meat of this again. There's three things that you need to do, and I hope a lot of you represent companies that are in the, that are, providing products and services, out there. And so you're thinking about whether you've created a relationship with your customers. The three things that you need to make sure that you have are proximity, knowledge, and engagement. And I'm going to go through each one of those. Proximity. And that is quite simply the distance between where you are and where you've been going. How close is the next product you're launching from both a function and a brand perspective to your last product, right? Is it close? Smith & Wesson came out with a line of bicycles. I'm not sure what amendment covers bicycles, but they did not do great with the Smith & Wesson bicycle, as far as I know. Prosper, this is one from our space, and this is not to put what Prosper tried down. I think it was a valiant attempt, but if you all remember that they bought BillGuard and tried to create Prosper Daily. Well, the thing is, Prosper is a fantastic brand, but there was a lack of connective tissue between the product they had, which created one positive interaction with the customer each 3 to 5 years, to a product that was going to be a daily product. You can't do that. You have to create an evolution in a company that's very, very critical. So they got half of that equation wrong. Great companies evolve naturally. We all know Amazon. This is like one of their early websites, which unfortunately I actually remember from using. Now, you notice on here that there's no reference to AWS. There's no reference to video streaming. Of course, those things didn't exist in like 1995. But if they had products like that, it would have been unnatural for them to offer them at that point. Amazon's been brilliant in rolling out a product strategy and a service strategy that feels natural to every one of us in this room. Great companies build brands, and they extend these brands in a natural order. So you look at a company like Salesforce. Salesforce started in like 1999, was already a multi-billion-dollar company. In 2009, they launched Service Cloud, which was a CRM application for customer service. 8 years later, $3 billion in revenue, 2017 revenue. If you are a great company to evolve your products naturally, you can actually build a big business on top of an already big business. Unfortunately, in the online lending space, most companies basically think the boiler room equals brand. Boiler rooms don't equal brand. They have these huge call shops, and that's what they're focused on. That doesn't create brand. It just doesn't. You have to spend money in order to build a brand over time. You have to have a brand, obviously, from a user experience and a customer service experience that people love. That's how you build a brand. We've invested over $125 million into building our brand specifically. We don't use brokers, and brokers are those third parties that go out and find loans for you, but they don't represent your company in the process. So we do these studies. This one's actually a little dated, so I apologize. It's about a year old, but we just completed a new one, but it wasn't informed to put up here. As of last year, we were recognized by about 30% of all small businesses, anywhere from 50% to 100% higher than any of our competition out there, even for companies that are big, large payment companies that got into the lending space as it relates to lending. Now we're actually up to over a third of all small businesses, and by the end of this year, we intend to be at closer to 45 or 50%. So get rich, quick schemes don't work. Second, you need knowledge. Okay, how well do you know your customers? How current is that understanding? The best is always and very well. Those are the best answers. The challenge is that most online lending companies don't really have much of an idea about what their customers want and need, because they only have basic credit info at the time of qualification, and they also are just getting repayment information. That does not equal understanding the customer. We have 150,000 customers. We ask all of our customers to connect us directly to data that helps us understand their business, and we maintain those data connections. So we have nearly 2 million live data connections with our customers. We understand information from prior to the time they connected, because we get historical information. We have information about them today, and we have information tomorrow, and so on. We understand not only how that business is performing over time, we understand actually what they want and need, how they're growing, what they're spending their money on, things along those lines. That's critical information. And then finally, you need engagement with customers. So engagement really is the frequency and depth of your interactions with your customer base. Highly critical. If you're not interacting with them very often, then they're not thinking about you very often. That kind of engagement is directly proportional to the likelihood that you'll have an opportunity to sell them another product or service. So Kabbage customers take 20 loans over 4 to 5 years. 4 or 5 loans a year every year. We have that many positive interactions. Our competitors average 2.2. Now, I would also argue we are still want to take that regular interaction with our customer and we want to move it forward. So where that takes us is it takes us to our product evolution. So we launched a line of credit via browser. We went to mobile device. We launched a card that's now in general release. We're doing bill pay, invoice advances, checkout with Kabbage, and much more to come. But it's just the beginning. Our objective is to sit at the financial nerve center of small businesses, to provide them with all the products and services. We have a saying inside of Kabbage: we want to let the bakers bake. And in California, that might have a different connotation. But from our perspective, it means we want them to focus on what they love to do, and we want to help them with everything else. If you're a great baker, you want to spend your time making delicious treats for your customers. You don't want to spend your time worrying about what the cash flow of that business is going to be tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. That really has to be all of our objectives here. Ultimately, is to draw our businesses around the customer and put the customer in the middle of this equation. It's hyper important. And so if we do that, it's limitless what we can accomplish at Kabbage, and frankly, limitless what you can accomplish in all of your businesses. So here are just a few examples. This is obviously somebody at a coffee and pastry shop. Congrats, we noticed you're opening a new location. We're going to send out a new card reader. Hey, payroll processes in 5 days and cash is low. You should really look at taking funds to cover payroll. You're low on pastry ingredients. Schedule a reorder. We've gathered quotes from 5 vendors for the upcoming festival. Review the quotes. Those types of things are hypercritical and allow a business owner to focus on taking care of their customers. If we want them to take care of their customers and do well and pay us back, we've got to take care of our customers. That's really important. And so finally, I really think of this as the potato chip dream. And I think about Amazon a lot when I talk about the potato chip dream. What that dream is the day that Kabbage is able to sell bags of potato chips to our customers, and our customers are like, of course I'm going to buy potato chips from Kabbage. Why would I buy them from anybody else? That will mean that Kabbage is worth hundreds of billions, and our customers are incredibly happy in the process, because it necessarily means that we'll have provided them with every product and service between where we are today and potato chips tomorrow. And that's really the key for what we're trying to accomplish, is allow us to expand our offerings in a natural, evolutionary way and take care of our customers. And I really do think that all of us should think about that as well, especially if you're running an online lending company. Focus back on the customer, build those relationships, figure out how to take it to the next level. So in wrap up, I wanted to share with you, this was my last haircut with Sharon on March 12, 2018. It was really funny when I shared this concept with some people internally. One of the people I work with, Nan, I work with very closely, she said, "You're not going to miss her," which meant that she didn't like the way Sharon cut my hair anyway. But anyway, I want to thank you for your time. Sorry for the snafus at the beginning of the presentation, and have a great rest of the show. Thank you.